Hi, Glen Park families. Welcome to Survivor Math Strategy Night. I am Miss Heineke, and tonight we are going to put our math strategies to the test. I will be walking you through the presentation of kindergarten through second grade subtraction strategies. Before I get into the strategies, I do just want to talk about this model that you will hear me refer to. It's called the CRA model. And as you can see down below in the chart, CRA stands for concrete, representational, and abstract. So when I am saying concrete, I just want you to know that I'm referring to the hands-on objects or the hands-on manipulatives that your child or yourself can physically touch and manipulate through the math. When I am talking about representational, it's going to be anything that you or your child can draw. So if you're making drawings of shapes or drawing tally marks and drawing anything to represent an object, that's where we refer to that as representational. Or abstract is using numerals and equations. So if your child is able to just say 5 plus 4 equals 9 and write that, then they're kind of in that abstract level. But I do want you to know that it is totally okay for your child to move back and forth throughout these levels as needed. I don't want you to think, oh, my child is using these handheld manipulatives, they're in concrete, but I need them to be to abstract. It's very important that your child has access to these concrete materials in school, and even I can show you some examples of how you can do this at home, but that your child can move back and forth throughout the levels as needed. So we are going to start with a number sense routine. We're going to do a notice and wonder, and we always start our math classes with number sense routines. It's a fun way to talk about math and really get the kids engaged. So for this one, I just have a picture. Um, you could really say anything. You could do something as simple as, I noticed there is a palm tree with some coconuts. Or I noticed there are 5 coconuts in the tree and 3 on the ground. Or your child might say, I wonder what we're going to do with this set of coconuts. It really is just getting them to think about math and think about how they see math. So we're going to go through we're going to start in kindergarten. We're going to be in our kindergarten world. And I'm really going to show you the progression from kindergarten to first grade to second. So if you have a child that is only in kindergarten right now, that's okay. I would love for you to stick around and see the whole presentation so you can see where your child is now and where they will be going. And same thing for my families that may have a second grader. It really is a good idea to see where they came from and what that progression looks like from kindergarten to first grade to second grade. So in the kindergarten world, we really, really, really want our children to be using those concrete tools. So here are some examples of what we use in kindergarten. We have some counters, or we might make the counters a little bit more fun, as you can see the little teddy bears in the center, and even just something as simple that you might have at home, like beans, just some dried beans, so that your child can touch them, feel them, manipulate them, and do the math with these tools. At the bottom, we call this in kindergarten a number path. So you'll see numbers 1 through 10, where they can really use concrete materials or use their fingers or use a marker to make hops and jumps, which you'll see me do in a minute, in order to add or subtract. And today, of course, we are talking about subtraction strategies. So in kindergarten, the 2 main strategies that they learned are take from and count back. So you'll see at the top, we're sticking in the theme of Survivor here. So I put 6 coconuts. We have 6 coconuts here, right? And then if we want to take from, it really is just taking away. So if I was with you in person, I would have you take out 6 counters, and those would be your coconuts, but you would take out 6 counters on the table, and I want you to take away 2. You would take 2 of those counters away, and it would leave you with 4. If we were talking about it being representational, your child could draw it, right? So they could draw 6 circles to represent those 6 coconuts, and then they could just X out 2 of them. And then how many would they have left? They would have 4. We also use the strategy of counting back. So you'll see that I have my number path here. I don't have a full number path of 10. For this one, I started at 6 because that's the problem we were working with. But your child would just start at 6 on the number path, and we want them to subtract 2 or take away 2. So they would jump backwards 2 times and they would land on 4. So now we're going to move into grade 1. So using those kindergarten skills, you're really going to see how that transfers into first grade. So here is our pose the problem for a first grade student. There are 12 coconuts in the tree. 4 coconuts fell off the tree and landed in the sand. How many coconuts are still in the tree? So remember, think back to that CRA model. Some of your kids might be able to just tell you, oh, I know that 12 minus 4 is 8. And that's awesome. So they are living in that abstract world right now, right? But some kids can't do that, and that's totally fine. So they might need to represent it by a drawing of perhaps a number line. You'll kind of see at the bottom where I went from that kindergarten number path to a number line now that we are in first grade, and our number line extends, right, to 20 or beyond. So we do utilize number lines in first grade. We also utilize counters as that concrete. And then in a moment, you'll see another tool called a tens frame or a double tens frame that we use. But let's just say your child doesn't know that 12 minus 4 equals 8. What can we do to help them? So here's a couple of first grade math tools. So at the very bottom, you see our number line, where your child would start at 12, because thinking about our problem, we had 12 coconuts in the tree, and then 4 of them fell off. So we're taking 4 jumps backwards. We're counting back on our number line. And it gets us to our answer of 8. And then at the top, I do have those little red and yellow counters, so you can kind of see next to that I use what we call a double tens frame. So in theory, I took my colored counters and I put 12 of them in this double tens frame here. And then I took 4 away. So if we were using that concrete, those handheld counters, your child would lay out 12. They would take 4 away and it would leave them with 8. But if they wanted to do it with a drawing and represent it, they could draw 12 circles, and then they could take or cross out, as you can see over here, cross out 4, and it leaves them with 8. In first grade, we also use place value blocks. So just a quick tutorial on place value. It's when we're talking about hundreds, tens, or ones. In first grade, we really only use the tens and the ones. So you'll see here on the right-hand side, the 1, right, is called a unit. We refer to them as units. And then a rod is 10 of these little units stacked on top of each other. So we're talking about tens and ones, and the students refer to those as a unit or a rod. So we're going to do a quick practice with that. So how can we represent the problem below using place value blocks? So here's our new problem. There are 60 coconuts in the tree. 40 coconuts fell off and rolled onto the sand. How many coconuts are there left in the tree? So we don't want to, this is where we really want to think about efficiency. So we don't want to put 60 counters out, or we don't want to draw 60 circles. That would take so long for our little kids to do. So that's where we bring in these place value blocks. It's much more efficient. So in order to do that, you would want to use your rods, your tens, because we know that each rod represents a 10. So here I have my 6 rods, which represents 60. So I usually have the kids count with me by tens, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. There's my 60 coconuts. And then 40 of them fell off. They rolled into the sand. And you could, if you had them right in front of you, you could take away 4 rods, which represents our 40. Or if your child just wanted to draw like lines or sticks to represent the rods, they could do that and then cross out 4 of them. And it leaves us with our answer of 20 or 2 rods, which represents 21. So 20. And this is just a little joke trying to explain place value blocks to survivor contestants on a deserted island. I know it can feel lonely out there with place value, but that's what we utilize with our curriculum. All right, let's move into grade 2. So in grade 2, we progress to subtracting 2 and 3-digit numbers. So again, we're going to stick with that place value. In grade 2, we do get into that hundreds because we're using 3-digit numbers. So the new vocabulary term for you now is a flat. So when we're talking about hundreds, we call those flats, and then we still utilize those rods, which are our tens, and the units, which are our ones. So here is our second grade problem. The tribe used 37 bamboo sticks to build their shelter on the beach. 24 bamboo sticks broke and could not be used. How many bamboo sticks did the tribe have left? So let's utilize those place value blocks. Now here we won't be using our hundreds or our flat because we're only using 2-digit numbers, but you could use the same exact strategy for when you are subtracting 3-digit numbers. So you'll see I put out 37. I have my 3 rods, 10, 20, 30, and then I use my units here, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37. And then I have already started crossing out my 24. And here's what we have left. We have our 10, 11, 12, and 13. If your child has the manipulatives or the base 10 blocks right in front of them, they could physically put out 37 and then take away 24 to get them their answer. But if they don't have that concrete manipulative in front of them, then they could draw it. They would be in that representational level at that point, and they could draw their sticks, their rods, 10, 20, 30, and then sometimes they represent the units as little dots. But it's the same concept. So drawing out 37 with your tens and your ones, and then crossing out 24 of them. I will say, the curriculum that we use, Reveal Math, there are so many subtraction strategies that the students, especially in grades 1 and 2, that they go through, but I only have about 20 minutes to present tonight. So I really just picked out the main ones or the ones that the majority of students like to utilize when they're solving their subtraction. So what I do have for you though is immunity. So if you are noticing that there is a particular strategy that your child is struggling with that I didn't go over tonight, we do have a family math vault for our concepts in grades K through 5 that myself and Miss Golden created over the summer. And this is where we store all of the strategies: addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. So, like I said, we could only do a quick few tonight, but if you do need more support or you're really not sure how to do a specific strategy, please check out our Math Family Video Vault. And if for some reason these links don't work, because you will get a QR code in your take-home bag from tonight's event, but if the QR code doesn't work, then you can always go to our math resource page on the Glen Burnie Park website.